Hey there, Pyromaniacs. So, there's something very important that's happening in the Star Wars community that has led to me making this video. Of course, I'm talking about the fact that Star Wars Battlefront 2's multiplayer servers are back online! So of course, in celebration of these recent events, I've decided to make a full-fledged review of what I consider the best Star Wars-themed first-person shooter ever made. Sorry, Republic Commando, it's not you, it's me. Star Wars Battlefront 2 was made by the company Pandemic only a year after the first Battlefront game. The Battlefront series is essentially just DICE's Battlefield 1942 with a Star Wars skin. And just like in Battlefield, the main game type in multiplayer is a game type called Conquest, a game type based around choosing between classes and capturing points on the map, with a focus on both infantry and vehicular combat. Something that differentiates this game from Battlefield, or even the first Battlefront, is the addition of hero loadouts, which rewards the person with the highest score in the match with the ability to play as a popular character from the Star Wars films. Yeah, notice that it's not making me pay to play as Darth Vader here. I don't know why I'm pointing that out, I'm just making an observation. Aside from Conquest, there are other typical game types you'd expect in FPS, such as Capture the Flag, but it also has a lot more fairly unique game types, such as Assault, which is one massive space battle where you try to destroy your enemy's frigate before they can destroy yours. Honestly, I've discovered that you either love this game type or you hate it, and personally, I'm not a fan. The flying controls feel great in dogfights, but they can feel very clunky when you're trying to complete an objective. The most fun thing to do in this game type is board the enemy frigate and just cause as much damage as possible before you get killed. There's also Hunt, which is an asymmetrical game type, where one team plays as soldiers while the other team plays a different species of alien depending on the map. It's something to write home about, but it's still a fun and fresh experience. Also, exclusively on PC, there's one extra game type called XL, which is essentially one massive game of team deathmatch. Only instead of getting something like 50 kills to win the game, you have to get 250 on a massive map filled to the capacity with AI opponents, and it's ridiculously fun. Now, of course, there's not just multiplayer. And can you imagine someone charging full price for a multiplayer-only game? I mean, you'd have to be the worst company in America to think that's a good idea. There's also a campaign, which is pretty simple. The missions are pretty much modified versions of the multiplayer game types already mentioned, but the story is really cool. It follows the 501st Clone Trooper Legion throughout multiple missions spanning over 20 years of the Star Wars timeline, all the way from the beginning of the Clone Wars to the Imperial attack on Hoth and the beginning of The Empire Strikes Back. It's a fascinating insight into the mind of an aging clone trooper and the intricacies of the changes that took place throughout the galaxy in between the third and fourth movies. Without a doubt, there's no question why the 501st has garnered such a cult following over the years, as it's a story that any die-hard Star Wars fan absolutely has to experience. And yet, after you finish the campaign, don't worry, there's still more content on display here, because there's also Galactic Conquest mode, a very unique strategy mode where you play through a select time in the Star Wars timeline and fight for control over planets on a board. As someone who sucks at strategy games, I can never get too far in it, but it's still a fun mode that has a lot of thought and care put into it. In closing, Star Wars Battlefront 2 is one of the greatest games to ever hold the Star Wars name, and it's an insult that the name also belongs to what could possibly be the worst game to come out this year. Until next time, goodbye and stay nerdy, my friends.